Okay, so let's continue. So what is the mass of 0.5 moles of copper sulfate? Well, if I know that I have 0.5 moles of copper sulfate, and I know that 1 mole of copper sulfate is 159.62 grams for every 1 mole, I just need to take zero point 0.5 times 159.62 divided by 1, and I get 0.5 times 159.62. I get an answer of 79.81 grams. Grams of what? Grams of copper to sulfate. Okay, so now we're going to calculate the mass of 6.7 moles of carbon. Well, if I know I have 6.7 moles of carbon, and if I look at my periodic table, and in case you're wondering where these are coming from, on my periodic table, the atomic mass is the number we're using. So for carbon, it's 12.01. So I know I have 12.01 grams in every 1 mole. So I take 6.7 times 12.01 divided by 1. So 6.7 times 12.01 divided by 1, and I get 80.47 grams of carbon. My moles cancel out. Really, all we're doing is canceling out units. So here I already calculated the average atomic mass, or the molar mass, of magnesium sulfate. And if I start out with 22.35 grams of magnesium sulfate, how am I going to use this conversion factor? Well, I know that I need to put grams in the denominator, so it's 125.37 grams for every 1 mole. Now my grams cancel and I'm left with a mole. So I need to take 22.35 times 1 divided by 125.37, and I get an answer of 0.18, and my unit is mole. And moles of what? Moles of magnesium sulfate. So now for check your understanding, we'll do kind of along the same line, but just remember, I will get you started. Calcium is a +2 ion. Phosphate is PO4, and that's a -3. So I am currently not a balanced compound. Now I need to figure out, I can cross them over, and I would have 3 calciums for every 2 phosphates. So when we go to figure out the mass, I know I have calcium. How many? 3. And then I'll times that by the mass of calcium, which is 40.08. And potassium, how many? 2. So 2 times the mass of potassium, which is 30.97. And oxygen, which is 4 times 2, which is 8 oxygens, times 16, which is the mass of oxygen. So we'll find out how much each of these are, and then we'll add them up to get my molar mass. This number here we'll then use to figure out, if I have this many moles, how many grams would that be? So I will let you go from here, and if you have questions, be sure to ask in